Yeah, one of the things I would say is through keeping score. One of the big things I believe is having scorecards for our people, for and keeping it super simple. So when you look at staff, does all levels. I believe when you meet somebody and you hire them, we tell them everything. We tell them 300 million things. We tell them where the bathroom is, where the scissors is, where the paper and everything else to do. Um, the tools, but we don't really tell them what's mission critical. I believe if you empower people with 5 mission critical tasks, that allows me to do what I'm doing right here. And a score card, what I call it, is something that you give to your people that you say, hey, I don't care really if you do anything else. Don't do anything illegal. But if you don't do anything else, this is what I need you to do. And if you're crystal clear with your people and what you need them to do, I find that most people do it. And you'll find that people that don't, then they're not a fit and you can move on pretty quickly. But there's so much lack of clarity with business owners and leadership that when you can really be clear with what needs to be done, your people will do it and then they'll crush it. You can celebrate, you can reward them, you can do so many fun things.
Welcome to the Small Business Safari, where I help guide you to avoid those traps, pitfalls, and dangers that lurk when navigating the wild world of small business ownership. I'll share those gold nuggets of information and invite guests to help accelerate your ascent to that mountaintop of success. It's a jungle out there, and I want to help you traverse through the levels of owning your own business that can get you bogged down and distract you from hitting your own personal and professional goals. So strap in, adventure team, and let's take a ride through the safari and get you to the mountaintop. Welcome back to the Small Business Safari Adventure Team. It is time to rock and roll. Hopefully we're bringing it. I would tell you before we get started with Seth, who's joining us today, I got another email yesterday that I didn't tell you about, Alan. And it was, keep bringing the energy. Love the nuggets that you guys are dropping. I actually have changed the way I'm doing my business based on the episode from Chris Hanks. I was like,
oh, I was going to say, God help this person, but that one.
How about that?
Oh, I was lighting candles after that one.
Yeah, that dude, man, he was rocking it. So that was really cool. I loved hearing that feedback. If you've got other feedback for us, man, just hit me up. Send me an email. Yeah, it's chris@thetrustedtoolbox.com. Love to hear ideas. If you think you've got a good guest based on people we're bringing in, give me another idea. But I'll tell you what, we've got a great guest today. Now, it's right up my alley. It's home services based. He's the blue collar guy. He is the guy who can make it happen for you. We have Seth Lewis joining us today. Seth, thank you for joining the program.
Cheers, Seth.
Hey, thanks for having me. Appreciate it. It's good to be on the show.
So, Seth, why don't you just give everybody kind of that thumbnail view of how you got to where you are, including, I started here and I started doing this and bang, here I am today. Overnight success.
Yeah, that's the funny thing, the overnight success. That's the 20 years later you get into it. But it actually started, way back when I had a bad stepdad. Came home. I started in lawn business. I had a couple lawns to mow. Borrowed the family lawnmower. So went out there, got some work. Had a great day, got paid. That's the big thing that everybody struggles with today, to get paid. I actually got paid on my first day. Can you believe that?
Let's go.
Yeah. So came home, stepdad said, you're never using the family lawnmower again. And that day I left home. I said, I'm not letting this person stop my energy, the momentum. I'm out of here. So from 16, I've been on my own. I've had to figure it out. I've had to figure out how to make it, how to survive, how to get things done, how to fall on my face and get back up. And that's really where the journey starts. And hard knock educated. One of the things that I like is it took me 15, 16 years of hard knock educated life before I got, my degrees, as I'll say. But the one degree that I do hang up that I like is the hard knock educated, because that's been really valuable, to me. So today, what I do a lot of business coaching and consulting. Bluecollarbusinesscoach.net is something that I help, business owners with in service businesses, but I also own service businesses. So I have kind of both perspectives, which is a lot of fun. and I get to see both sides. So it's a little bit about, where it started and what I'm doing today, and it's a lot of fun.
What doesn't kill you makes you stronger.
Wow. You talk about not getting the springboard to success. Talk about having to pull yourself up, moving out of the house at 16 and going, yeah, I'm just going to go this alone. Holy crap. Talk about having to grow up early. But I think, of course, my first question was, so what's your favorite lawnmower?
Lawnmower, yeah. So we run X marks right now. We actually have done some Toros. I would say the big thing that and Toro owns X mark, so that's kind of like they're together, but we really look for 4-season machines. So when you think about equipment and tools and things like that, you really look for things that you can use multi-purpose. So I'd say that's how we buy a lot of our stuff. And technology has come a long way where, you can really find things that you don't have to sit for one thing, that you can put anything on anything, So.
Yeah, I'm assuming being in Pennsylvania, you're not mowing lawns for a good chunk of the year. So it converts to a snowblower somehow?
Yeah, snow blowers, plows, that type of stuff. Although this year we've had, we usually get 32 inches of snow. We've only had 6. So it's been I don't know what's going on in the world, but
it's coming.
Yeah, hopefully.
Oh man, that's right. Snow, that is manna from heaven. As my family used to have a dump truck business and would plow in the winter. And so in Buffalo, New York, and that's exactly what my uncle would say all the time. It was manna from heaven.
Liquid gold.
Liquid gold. I like it. All right. So you obviously put yourself through school doing the landscaping, right? You kept that going. You get out there, you're still schlepping it. Maybe got a guy, maybe 2 guys. Talk a little bit about how you started and how long did it take you to start to scale and to start to see that this is not just a one-man band, but I can grow it.
Yeah, so I think the thing that's interesting is, I would say my journey is probably like a lot of people. I struggled for a lot of years, and then one day, kind of clicked. So typical things: cash flow, people, didn't have processes. Beating my head against the wall for a long time. And then finally it clicked. There was 2 things that I realized, and one of them was the mindset piece. So a lot of the stuff that either happens to us or coaches that we've had or parents or whatever it may be as business owners really is affecting the way that we lead. And I realized that I had things that I was doing that I didn't realize, but was impacting and holding me back. So when I really started diving into some of the mindset stuff, in the sense, it's not like hocus pocus or whatever. It's just like how we think. It's the story, the soundtrack in our head that plays. We have this music that plays. I'm a music guy. I'm a sports and music guy, but that soundtrack's playing in our head over and over again. And we really have to examine what's playing, what music. And here's a good picture. I saw somebody explain it like this. If you have a scene, if you had a picture of your house right now, let's play the background there. And we said, we played scary music and you came into that scene, you'd be looking around the corner, right? You'd be saying, something's going to jump out at me and get me. But if we look at that same picture, that same house, whatever it may be, and you walk into it and it's playing carnival music, your attitude, your body language, it's not tense. And we don't realize that soundtrack that plays in our head today is influencing how we lead as business owners. It's influencing, and we don't even realize it. But you can get tense just from the music that plays in your head and you have no clue. When I started to figure that out, that's what actually shifted my business and leadership. And really, that's a part of what we do to help other people, because that's the real power. We all talk strategy. We all talk, and that's really important, but you can't execute strategy if your mind won't let you.
So you're just talking mindset and expectations.
Yeah,
every day. You wake up and if it's going to be a great day, it'll be a great day. And if you wake up, it's going to be a crappy day, it's going to be a crappy day. Self-fulfilling prophecy.
There's a lot to that. I think it's how you handle it. I mean, if you're around somebody and they start talking a certain way, you can pick up on it right away after you kind of are in tune to the way that they talk. And usually those people are having the challenges. They're the ones that are struggling. The people that can, have the positive talk and have that mindset really overcome. That doesn't mean we don't face challenges, right? We all have problems. We all have things that we deal with, but we overcome. We win the battles, at least most of them.
That's I like what you're talking about. I just did this with my team where I told him that your thoughts, and I took him through thoughts are that's what you're sowing, your thoughts. And you know that we
But
all
you sowed seeds.
no, you sow thoughts
Okay.
in our thought leadership world here, Alan. Anyway, you have 12 to 15,000 thoughts a day as an adult. And guess what? 80% of them are negative. Here's the good news. 95% of your thoughts are repetitive. So 80% of your thoughts are negative and 95% of those are repetitive. You're having a lot of negative thoughts. You have a lot of negative talk. And you're right. Even if I was driving back to the house here to do the podcast, and I just left a couple things at the office, a couple things we had to figure out and solve. And I started putting myself in that, man, I can't wait to talk to Seth because I'm looking forward to this. And I did. You could tell, man, I put some good music on, had blues rock rolling, like the intro music to our small business safari, getting ready to rock it. So you're right. I know what you're talking about. So you had to make that change early on with your business. And how did you start to manifest those thoughts into actions and put those actions into practice in your company?
I think the biggest thing, and I think it's probably why I went to coaching. I always liked motivating people and rallying, but I didn't really realize where it took off until I had my own coach. I had a coach that had the mindset thing. So similar to what I work with now and teach, but helped me understand where my, shortcomings were and where some of my limiting beliefs is another thing. Myths. I like to, we have these things we think about that are not true. They're myths. Like, working with a client, January is our slow time. January doesn't have to be your slow time. That's a myth that you hold as true, and you can bust that. I take it, throw it up in the air, shoot it down with the shotgun type of thing. You got to bust the myths and do that. That's kind of the mindset stuff. And when you can start to bust those myths, it leads to momentum, leads to positive energy. So for me, it was understanding what were some of the limiting beliefs. Because when we talk about contractors, we look at, we get kind of stuck on the crazy cycle, whether it's cash flow, we're chasing money in the bank. It's just always this thing. It's people. We can't figure out why nobody wants to work for us. We can't find people, all these things. I don't listen to what the world tells me. I listen to what's happening in my business. That's exciting to me. Don't tell me that there's a labor shortage because I haven't seen that. We're fully staffed. How you doing? It's the mindset thing. It's how you approach things.
So talk a little bit about how did you get that into action? So today you're sitting here talking with us, and we're talking at 4:00 in the middle of the week. And so most business owners are like, man, I don't have time for that. I got to go out there. I got to do my thing. So you actually not only have one business, you have a couple different businesses. How have you empowered them to go out there and do their thing while you're doing this stuff?
Yeah, one of the things I would say is through keeping score. One of the big things I believe is having scorecards for our people, and keeping it super simple. So when you look at staff, does all levels. I believe when you meet somebody and you hire them, we tell them everything. We tell them 300 million things. We tell them where the bathroom is, where the scissors is, where the paper and everything else to do, the tools. But we don't really tell them what's mission critical. I believe if you empower people with 5 mission critical tasks, that allows me to do what I'm doing right here. And a score card, what I call it, is something that you give to your people that you say, hey, I don't care really if you do anything else. Don't do anything illegal. But if you don't do anything else, this is what I need you to do. And if you're crystal clear with your people and what you need them to do, I find that most people do it. And you'll find that people that don't, then they're not a fit and you can move on pretty quickly. But there's so much lack of clarity with business owners and leadership that when you can really be clear with what needs to be done, your people will do it and then they'll crush it. You can celebrate, you can reward them, you can do so many fun things.
Yeah. So I do a lot of what you just said, except I don't bring in the illegal thing. I'm like, if you're selling stuff, you're one of my sales guys. I don't care if you're going down the highway and you're driving with your knee while you're making a phone call and leaning over on your laptop to write up another estimate. You just do it. Whatever you got to do to sell. I don't care how illegal it is. And if you got to hit a couple kids, go ahead. No, I'm kidding. I did say that about the driving with the knee. And one of my customer service reps, I was telling her that And she leans over to one of the other ones and goes, he really doesn't tell him that, does he? And the lady who's been with me for 14 years goes, probably.
Yeah.
And I went, I do.
You see a
But then I do
competitor's
tell
truck,
them
you
to-
slash the tires.
Hey, there's nothing wrong with that.
No.
Hey, it's called business, baby.
That's right.
And I'm Italian, so that's the way we roll.
I got a question for Seth. So
All
you've
right,
got you've got this blue collar mentality, blue collar mindset, blue collar businesses. You have a blue blood education. Penn State undergrad, Villanova MBA.
That's right.
What made you talk to me about the value of the education you got getting your MBA, and when you've come up with things that have led to your success and the whole momentum? Was that life lessons that you learned on the business, or was some of that because of the education that you got?
Yeah, I think there's an uncertainty a little bit. There's two things. One, I was a college dropout. I guess you'd consider me till 2015. So 2015, 2016, I said, you know what? I did a lot of coursework undergrad. I was in school for 10 plus years, in and out.
And you had your business at the same time?
Yeah, business was still going. So
Okay.
it's, business the whole time. But I don't like to start something and not finish it. So this was always kind of egging on as a leader. You're telling your people to do the 2%, finish the job. And then as a leader, I have unfinished business. So in 2015, 2016, I decided to go back and finish my undergrad. And when I did, I had a good team in place. So I went back to college and did that. And my team was doing well. I said, hey, this is pretty cool. We have one of our best years ever. Owners, get out of your business. You're hurting it more than you're helping.
Amen.
So I got out of it. They did a great job. I said, this is pretty cool. And then I thought, I have this going, I'm going to go get my MBA. And I asked some of my mentors and people, and they said, don't go for a regular MBA, because not that people are beyond that, but a lot of people might just have 5 years experience or just went from undergrad in. There's not real life experience. So they said, an executive MBA is people with at least 15 years of experience. And it's more of a cohort. So that became very beneficial. And what I thought I wanted to do was do some more coaching and consulting, maybe in the corporate space. So I thought, I need to understand some of the bigger business. In the end, what I figured out is, these larger corporations just have more zeros, on their balance sheets, their P&Ls, but the core principles are all the same. So it gave me, I guess, a different level of confidence to be able to talk and bridge the gap, kind of be like a translator. Because if you look at most organizations in the US, even large businesses, their workforce is blue collar. I remind, like Target or Walmart or any of these places, they have a blue collar workforce. They have corporate, positions, but most of their people are blue collar when you think about it.
All right. So you went and did the executive MBA. You go back to it. So you didn't go back to school, because I was about to say, so which fraternity did you join? Yeah. Did you hang out at the union all the time, get the free fries, put the backpack on? You didn't do all that. What was one of the biggest surprises you got out of the executive MBA program that you weren't expecting?
I think one of the things that was interesting was the value. I was the only entrepreneur in the cohort. Everybody else was a C-level, C-suite, flying private jet to Saudi Arabia,
like you, Chris,
make a deal or something, right? What?
Like Chris?
Well,
every weekend.
Exactly.
I'm not going to Saudi Arabia.
No,
we're going to Acapulco.
Acapulco.
Yeah, but
Barcelona.
All right. So you were there. I want to hear this, because I'm going to chime in on a couple of things with this entrepreneur versus the C-suite people.
Yeah. So the thing that was real interesting is I kind of took it in, probably 3/4 of the year, just minding my thing. You work in teams, but just doing my part. And then probably about 3/4 of the way through, people started to come to me and say, how would you handle this? What would you do? So behind the scenes, I felt like I was making decisions for some of the world's largest corporations, or helping give input for which helped me realize the value in consulting and what I really wanted to do. But what was interesting was that I believe that happened because as an entrepreneur, you have real skin in the game. You have real money on the line. So even though, yes, as corporate, and I love those people too, but so I'm not putting it down, but you can lose your job, and that's a big thing. I don't want to make it downplay that. But as entrepreneurs, we have millions and millions of dollars on the line, or we're making decisions that are very substantial with other people's lives, as well as, financial decisions. So when we make a decision, we need to make it quick. We need to make it a good decision. And we have a lot of practice making decisions, and hopefully in a quick way. The more you do this, the clearer you see things, the less data you need to make accurate decisions. So when they come and they would say, hey, what do you think about this? I'd be like, oh, that's easy. This is what I see. And that's what I love about entrepreneurship and business owners. And I think that was probably a takeaway that I wasn't expecting.
That's awesome. And that's why I want to pick on this. So having gone the other way, and I talked about this in my book.
Oh, your book.
It's exactly 17 minutes in, and I brought it up. That's right. I took 17
Way
minutes.
Way to restrain yourself, Chris.
I did. Yeah. So from the zoo to the wild, living in the corporate world. You're right. In the corporate world, we would look at entrepreneurs. I wouldn't, because I've always wanted to be one, and I have nothing but the respect. That's why I did what I did. But it is easy in the corporate world when we're being fed all those intoxicating bananas that we got, to sit there and go, man, we are kings of the world. We're kings of the jungle. And when somebody comes up and says, yeah, I just have a small business. Yeah, what do? I cut grass. Oh, good for you. Bless your heart, as we like to say in the South.
Yep. Little pat on the head.
Yeah, because you're fed this. I wouldn't say it's fake, but you're fed this aura around you that you are making big decisions. And yes, you would hop on the corporate jet and fly to see one of you, because I had 400 people working for me, and I'd fly from center to center. But the thing that I've learned, especially as an entrepreneur, and I love having this reinforced in my peer group that I get into once a month, my accountability group with Chris, is that, here in Atlanta, we got Coca-Cola, UPS, you can name them all. And when you go get your executive MBA here, usually you're going to be with somebody from one of those companies. And one of the things he always impresses upon us is that it's harder to do what you have done as an entrepreneur, starting something from scratch to get it up to however many employees you have. I got 40 today, than it ever is to be a Coca-Cola marketing executive or a Coca-Cola chief financial officer. And to be the president of Coca-Cola, he said, I would argue their job is easier than what you're doing today, because of what you just said, Seth, is that this is real money. Again, I had a $20 million a year budget I had to manage but it wasn't my money. It wasn't my money. And did I feel accountable to my folks to keep them employed? Kind of, but I still got my check every Tuesday, every 2 weeks. I got my 401k. I got my parking spot. I got to do what I got to do. And then I go out there and start my business. And for the first couple of years, everybody got paid but me. And that's not fun, but that's the real deal. And that's why when you talk about coaching and doing that, if you get people in that right mindset, man, what you're doing is harder than what most of these big C-suite people are doing. And I think that's so cool.
Hey, Seth, so the name of your book is Momentum, correct?
Yeah.
And momentum is a word that you've revolved your coaching business around. It's a really specific word. Can you talk about that a little bit?
Yeah. When I sought out to write the book, I looked and said, what's a topic that isn't really owned out there? You look at John Maxwell owns leadership. There's, a bunch of different people own like words, not that they really do, but I saw this word momentum, and whether it's sporting events or music, we've all felt it. We all want it. We want it in our business. We like it.
And sometimes you don't know where it came from and why it turned against you or why you have it.
Right. And I think that was what I set out to do, is say, okay, if we all agree it's such a powerful force, why are we not studying it in business? Why are we not implementing it? Why are we not trying to capture it and leverage its power a little bit more? So I sought out to break that down and really look at, what is it that fuels it, what starts it, and then how do we keep it going? So there's only two types of organizations. You either want to start it or you want to sustain it. That's the only two functions. You're trying to start it or sustain it. So I think that was a little bit about, how and why, the momentum thing came up. But it's been a lot of fun. It grew a lot of attention, in my book. The founder of Reebok is in my book. I have a bunch of, national championship coaches, NFL executives, all people that said, this is a pretty interesting concept. Why hasn't somebody actually studied this before?
I could see it resonating with those guys.
Yeah, right. I love that, the momentum. So where can we find the book? It's out. Where can everybody find it? Go ahead and hit that real quick.
Yeah, so it's on Amazon. You can do Seth Momentum Book. I also have a page, mymomentumbook.com, but Amazon, just Seth Momentum Book, it should pop up and it's out there. Momentum, where mindset meets strategy.
Nice.
And there's only 7 steps, just 7 easy steps, and you have momentum.
You got it.
Steps of momentum.
That's right.
And let's just break it out. It's probably not earth-shattering breakthrough great ideas. It's all ideas put together saying, at the end of the day, you got to implement these things. And it's just sometimes work.
Yeah, work. It's tough. The biggest thing that I'll go back to, and I think it's the foundation of momentum is awareness, and it's awareness and mindset. So it's really just recognizing the foundation of what we do is really heavily around mindset, and that really unlocks the momentum. Because we why is it that you can go to a conference? We go to conferences, we go to this, and there can be thousands of people there, or just a couple hundred, and you say, why is it working for one person but not the next? It's the same information, it's the same strategy, so why isn't it working? It comes down to this momentum.
He's pointing at his head for the listeners.
Yep.
Right.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm sorry. I was just going along with him.
Yeah. Momentum. I have a shirt on. It says Momentum You. That's a program that I teach, the course. Momentum You. The momentum is in you. You just have to unlock it. That's the easiest way. That's the formula. That's the most simple formula.
I love that, because I'm sure it resonates with a lot of people, because it's sitting there and we can all do it. We just have to, like you said, change your mindset and then open it up and find a framework. I think for a lot of people to be able to go in there and solve those problems and get themselves to that next level. So how many consulting clients are you working with at a time? I know you've got a couple of events coming up over the course of the next year. This pod will probably drop towards the middle of March. So if you want to talk about some of those for a minute.
Yeah. So what's pretty cool about the coaching is I work nationwide. I mean, my furthest clients are probably Seattle, so West Coast, and all across the U.S. Typically service businesses, but I think blue collar. The way I do define blue collar is is really just the energy and commitment to get it done, to find a way. Kind of like the story of my stepdad coming out and saying you can't do it, just the grit behind making it happen. And I find that resonates with, I have advertising agencies that view themselves as blue collar. I have actually, doctors and some chiropractic and different things. I mean, obviously it's mostly service business, but that blue collar mentality, resonates with a lot of people, because even though they have a professional degree, they say, that's who I am. It's what I do. I get it. So that's something. It's nationwide. We have some peer groups, some different functions.
See, Seth is making blue collar sexy, baby.
That's right. Bring it back.
I like it. Bring it sexy back. Bring blue collar back.
What's the hardest habit that people have to break that you help them with?
Yeah, I would, if they realize that they have a problem, or want the
12-step program with Seth.
Yeah. That's the first thing. Admit it, right?
Let me drink to that.
I would say letting go. Letting go as owners is really tough. To be able to think that somebody can do it better than they can, that's a thing. But it's one of the most rewarding. I mean, I can think of many examples where they say, I just don't know, and then they turn it over to their team, and their team crushes it. I mean, just really, really exciting.
Yeah, you're exactly right. So I have 4 customer service reps who answer my phones day in and day out. We just brought our 4th on, and we're training her. So we continually meet, but it's cool to watch them actually start to come together as a team. And we've had a couple of false starts on this in my company, because I've had 2 ladies who've been with me forever, and we brought 2 more on in the last year. And the first 2 we brought on, it didn't work. And I was sitting there racking my brain going, man, what have I done wrong? And I was afraid to let it go again because next thing you know, I'm in there answering the phones with them. And I can tell you, I can promise you the two ladies felt like that was hell as I sat with them and had to answer the phones. And so I said, so the next two that come in, right, it's up to you guys to bring them together, get yourselves working as a team, or else I'll come sit with you guys again. No, just joking. But
so you're a momentum killer.
I was the momentum killer. I'm like momentum.
You're a human false
I
start.
turned the U upside down and dumped it out. No, I didn't. But it was cool because again, we were meeting yesterday talking about it. And it's good to see these guys come together because they're crushing it and they like it, right? They feel better about it because I do not want to sit there and answer the phones. I've done that plenty of times, but I want them to answer it like I would. And now I know they are because I'm able to listen to the phone calls. And you're right. There's self-pride. And these ladies are in there, man, they're crushing it. They're loving it.
Yeah, when you look at why, most people struggle to scale, it's really a lot of it is, letting go. They don't trust people. They've been burnt. How many times did you eat bad food and you eat it again? It's silly to think that, you get burnt in business or something happens and you just forever say no. It just doesn't work and it's not practical. So those type of things, being able to let go, being able to know the right steps to be able to scale, to look at the other thing that we talk about a lot, and we just released a pretty cool tool that helps business owners show their hidden costs. So we don't know what we're losing or what things are costing us. So we have a calculator that shows, what their hidden costs are so that they can say, hey, if we fix these things, this is money that can fall back in my bank account, which is pretty cool. And then that's really what we help them see, combining mindset with our strategy. And our strategy is implementing our scaling scoreboard to be able to help them find that money, that those hidden costs, those hidden opportunities, because people like money. The last time I checked, if you can have that and find that in your bank account, stress, the weight on your shoulders, all that stuff, life kind of improves. You can buy the boat, you can go on vacation, the beach house, all the fun stuff.
You just signed Chris up.
Yeah, I'm in. I love that scaling scoreboard because I have a boat. I need a place on the beach though. Yeah. All right.
Send it over, right?
That's right.
I want to go back to the letting go thing one more time, because I guarantee you there's a ton of people in all 15 continents that are listening to us who are like, I'd love to let go, but there aren't people that do it as well as I do in my organization. What would you say to them?
Yet. I like it. Yet. I got 3 letters for you.
Yet. Yeah, the idea is, one, they typically don't give them enough time. When you compare the owner that has done it for 10 years, 5 years, 35 years, they bring somebody in 2 weeks. They think they're supposed to be even half as good as they are. It's not always realistic. Now, the other side of it is they don't want to pay anything. So you can find the person if you pay for it. I mean, I found that over and over again. If you pay for the talent, you can get it. But if you want to be cheap and you don't want to train, you're going to get exactly what you do. So I think it's like examining, why you don't want to pay somebody. Well, they're not worth it. Well, maybe you didn't screen them. Maybe you didn't test their skills. I always say, if they sold you that they can do the job and they can't, put them in sales. They're in the wrong role. They can't build anything, but they sold you, put them in your sales department, right?
That's a good one. I love that.
Yeah.
I think especially in today's world, one of the things we're really working on is I felt like we had a good onboarding program at my company. And of course, with the Home Service Institute, we feel like we have a good onboarding program, but we're actually revamping it right now because it needs to be even better as you onboard. Have you done that in your own company? Is it work on the onboarding? Because I think that's a key part to help you scale in today's world.
Yeah, onboarding is really important. We've built our own, training. I guess it's pretty much an online training program where, everything that we train, I don't know how many years ago, a couple of years ago, we started recording everything and we started putting quizzes to it and making it onboarding because we kept saying things over and over again. So one of the things that I encourage people to do is just make it simple. Like, you don't need to make it Hollywood production. And if you listen to yourself, you're going to, annoy yourself because you're not used to maybe talking on camera or whatever it may be. But that's what you sound like. So just deal with it. And, start recording and start sharing people so that you can do something. Somebody's probably watching a training video right now while I'm sitting here because I don't have to say it anymore. And neither does my team. So then my senior leaders, now they're doing impactful things like bringing big accounts in or something else that, might be beneficial. So, how can you make a training program or something that is repeatable? Because we know you're going to need to bring in new people, and we know maybe people don't stay as long as they once were, and that's okay. So we don't have to get mad about it. We say, hey, we have a great program. Come on in. We'll get you up to speed quick, and you can deliver excellent service.
Love that. So are you thinking you want to, what's next for you? Is it going to be more in the coaching and doing some of these seminars? And I know you've got a couple of those things coming up. Is it acquiring more businesses, getting more into the home services? What are you thinking?
Yeah, I would say I really enjoy the coaching, coaching my own teams, which is fun, and coaching people, across the U.S. That's my passion. I have a second book coming out in the end of September, which is going to be about, there's a working title, The Scaling Scoreboard. It's how to lessen the weight of business. So that's something that we're going to be looking at. Again, there's a working title, so there'll be something final, but really looking at blue collar business owners and how to just let go and get some of the weight off their shoulders. As owners, we put so much weight on us. We don't trust our team, and life becomes miserable. I've been there. Most of us have been there. And when you can realize how to let some of that go, and we do it through SCORE. I believe that SCORE is a missing piece to a lot of people's businesses. And I'll just give you a quick example. Penn State, I went to Penn State. When you go into that stadium, there's over 100,000 people, or any stadium you want. When you look at the scoreboard, you don't have to know anything about the organization. You don't have to be a passionate fan, but it tells you what you need to know: who's playing, what the down and distance is, what quarter, just some things that rally 100,000 people. And most organizations can't rally 2 people. So the power of SCORE is really impactful to make decisions in real time. A lot of stuff that we're doing, we're making decisions way too late, and we need to improve that. So the book coming out, look for it down the road. I think it's going to be pretty popular because that's where we've been having the most success with clients' mindset, and then implementing this process of SCORE for their strategy.
Yeah, I talk about this quite a bit, especially in the blue collar world, as I try to bring my white collar experience to my blue collar guys. There we go. A lot of collar talk here. But what I tell them is that professionals keep SCORE. If you want to be professional, you have to keep SCORE. And of course, we immediately go to sports. Well, at least I do, because I love it. But let's talk about when you go to the doctor's office. Today, they keep SCORE by doing the site visit. They do, physical evaluation. They're typing in all your notes. They're keeping that going. When you go to lawyers, if you ever dealt with lawyers, especially in the corporate world, they are telling you exactly how many minutes and how many copies they made as they're working on your program. So everybody keeps SCORE. Firemen have to do a fire report. Policemen have to do incident reports. We all keep SCORE. And if you're not keeping SCORE, you don't know where you stand. And if you don't know where you stand, how can you feel good about yourself when you're home at the end of the day?
That's right. Spot on. It's so key.
So are you finding that people aren't looking at any KPIs, or are you just helping them look at the correct KPIs for their business?
It's a 2-part thing. So one, I would say we're looking at the wrong data. So KPIs are something that I don't feel like, one, a lot of business owners don't keep any data or the right data. So there's no scoreboard. So that's the first problem we're tackling. We got to get something simple. And blue collar means it has to be simple that they can use and implement. The second thing that I would say is we're looking at the wrong KPIs, the wrong information. I call it front leading metrics. What that means is we look at data too late in the game. So for instance, sales. If we look at sales, when we get sales, that's actually too late. I'm more interested in the front leading metric that's going to make sure that I have sales, not am I at plan today, or am I over or under? So if we focus on the front leading metric, we stay ahead of the game, then I never have a shortage. I'm able to predict what's happening for a recession. Again, I don't care what anybody says. If I don't see it in my front leading metrics, I'm not making adjustments. I'm not listening to what other people, I'm using my own data. So if we understand how to look at this, and again, this isn't, first you have to keep data and we have to simplify it. And then we gotta be working on things that are mission critical. And most people don't know what to look at, to be honest.
Yeah, that's a good point. That's you hit on that, because for me to look at sales in the remodeling and handyman space, I have to look back, because our sales cycle is anywhere between 2 and 4 weeks on some things, because people won't say yes to a bathroom when you're sitting in there a lot of times. And we've had people on who talk about the one call close and just don't do that mostly. And so that's definitely a lagging metric. And so our leading metric, especially right now with here we are in the beginning of 23, is this going to be a recession? Is there really going to be a pullback? What's going to really happen, especially in home services? I'm watching those leads like a hawk, I'm on a weekly basis right now. So every Monday morning I come in and all the leads have been compiled and I can see where they're coming from and what we did with them. Right. So yeah, I think you're right. You have to have that good blend. You got to know what you're looking at. And it's funny you should say that. If you probably polled everybody, we'd all tell you we're watching every metric and we've got it all figured out perfectly. And the fact of the matter is, I don't know, 2 out of 10 of us, maybe maybe even lower.
Well, and I think that's the thing that I think is really important, is really understanding what, that's the work. Anything to simplify anything takes work. It's not just, it's really understanding what is making that impact and what are the key mission critical things we need to look at, that if that happens in an organization and we stay on that, everything is pretty good.
Yeah, no, you're right. That's good. The scorecard thing, mentally, I just, as he's talking about this and he brought up the Penn State scoreboard, which by the way, I'm trying to hope to get there this fall.
Of course you are.
So right. My buddy's son goes there for meteorology. Is that what you do when you look at the
weather? Yeah, send some snow this way. We're struggling.
All right. Poof. There we go. I'll send it into Happy Valley. Need more snow. Yes, that's got to make some more dollars.
Yeah. Liquid gold. We need it. Where is it?
I like it. I love it. But I just had a scoreboard. It's that you just had that thing where you I'm actually envisioning this at my company now, is putting up a computer screen, or put up a TV monitor and have the KPIs just sitting out there in front of everybody. Right now we have them all up on just pieces of paper. So I love that idea. And I got the old time scoreboard right now too. I get the whole thing, Field of Dreams in my head. Just listening to them. Yep. The imagery is just coming through as Seth was talking.
Oh, and then you could be like the coach, and when the numbers aren't good, you rip your headset off and throw it on the ground, and you start screaming at people.
I've done that too. It's so quick aside on that one. So I was coaching when my kids were younger. I coached in what was the Catholic Metro League. So this is for funsies. This is Catholics. This is supposed to be nice, see nice.
Did you get in trouble?
And I was the assistant coach, which is even worse. And we're in this gym, and I had told these kids we're going to go to this defense, and it was going to be a man-to-man defense, but this guy had to cover their best player. And the kid immediately ran to their worst player and started covering him. And our worst player ran to their best player, and he ran right in, laid the ball up. And as he's laying the ball up, I have a plastic clipboard, and the entire gym just heard, I snapped it over my knee, and my wife is across the gym, and just the daggers that were thrown was so bad. So yes, I had to say a few Hail Marys after that one. But yeah, so am I that coach? Yeah, I could be that coach. I actually have a Damn It doll in the office. So if I don't like what's going on, I just take the Damn It doll and just start whapping it.
That's good.
Yeah. No, that
thing's got to be made out of Kevlar.
The thing, it's definitely loosened up.
Yeah.
One person mentioned, has that thing really made it 15 years? I said, well, actually, one of my employees gave it to me 8 years ago. So not all 15, but yeah, it's hanging in there.
That's awesome.
I love it. Seth, we're coming to the end of our time. So we talked a little bit about it. Didn't give you a chance to plug it. You're doing some seminars. You invited me to one's happening. I know it's going to happen after the pod goes out. But where are you going to have some coming up, and where can people find those places to come meet you and see you?
Yeah, so I'm actually doing I did one some locally. This is my first one that's out of the area. So we're doing one in Nashville. It is the end of March, so March 30th.
All right, that'll be out. We'll have this out March 30th. Get to Nashville.
Yeah, get to Nashville. And we're really going to be talking about scaling with SCORE. So that's going to be that's been my focus as I'm writing the book. It's diving in, how how to actually improve cash, people, and processes through SCORE, so that you can grow, predict, and profit. We want to be able to give tools for people that can do it, help them implement their own scoreboard, and just really have a lot of fun. Nashville's a great time if you've been there. So if you don't like anything that you heard there, just come to have a good time, and we'll have a good time.
It's not a 2-day seminar, is it? Because the second day is going to be really quiet.
Yeah. It is. Yep. It's the 30th or the 31st.
Uh-oh.
Yeah, I definitely say on day 2, you better be cranking up some honky tonk hard and get everybody
bring
going.
your boots. Bring your boots.
I love it. Rhinestones up, everybody. So go see Seth, Momentum U, and how to keep score with score. He says it better than me. All right, just go there anyway. And if anything, you go to Music Row on the night before or after and have a blast with that too. I get to work in Nashville for 9 months way back in the day in corporate America. That is a fun town.
Really fun town.
But that made getting up in the morning and getting to the client site at 7 a.m. really hard. Yeah. But I did it. Out with the Owls, up with the Eagles, baby.
Yeah, of course you did.
Yeah.
Got to lead by example.
Yeah. And we actually, one of the clients we worked for wanted to do a morning huddle where we actually all had to hold hands before we got started.
Yours are all clammy.
And I was like, I think I smell like a brewery. I mean, do you really want to stand next to me? I don't think that's going to be the best. Seth, this has been great, man. One of the things I want to do is I want to hit you with a couple questions at the end. You obviously you've written a book, getting ready to write another book. We'll get that all in the show notes. What is a book that you would recommend to entrepreneurs looking to be in this space and maybe in home service or whatever? What's a book that really resonated with you?
So I think, I like the books, and this kind of sound like what I do, but there's the traction books, there's some of the EOS, there's the scaling, some of the scaling up. I mean, any of those, I believe they're all good systems. I think it's important, whether it's my system or somebody else's, I think it's important for business owners to find something that works for them, that allows them to break through where they're at. And I think the biggest thing that you asked a question earlier, that what's the biggest challenge? I really think it is listening to understanding that there is a better way and asking for help. A lot of times people that work with me say the hardest thing was to send a message to say that my business isn't going the way that I want it. So I think any book that can help, that you connect with, any person that you connect with, that you can have a good conversation with, that can help you get to where you want, because when you get there, you're going to celebrate. We celebrate all the time with clients, and I love it. That's a good book. So find something like that you connect with and that you can implement, whether it's ours or somebody else's. I just want people to win, because when you can win and you have the success of business, it is what you dreamed of when you started. But if it isn't now, you need to get there.
Amen. I love it. I did read Traction. I've actually, as I went to write my book, I thought I had these great ideas around traits of an entrepreneur that are required for you to be successful. And sure enough, Gino Wickman publishes the book 6 months in the middle of me writing mine, 6 months before I was publishing mine. So I had to go back and rewrite some things.
Are you saying Gino stole from you?
He did steal, because honestly, I was his. All but 2 were the same. And I was like, I had to take it all out of the book. I'm like, I don't think all I did was cheat and copy it. I was like, oh man. So you're right. Traction helped me put some better metrics in place. I self-implemented. I didn't put it all in. I don't have the L10 meetings because it just didn't resonate with my style, but we do have something similar. So I think that's a great recommendation. All right. Because I am in remodeling and I love my home, what is the favorite feature of your house?
I would say the open concept, just having pretty, I guess, open space. I mean, our kids, it's, they have a lot of space to run. So, I mean, I guess in, older houses, a lot of times there's all the rooms where I guess they run around the circle. But just being able to have like open space and, see, and, I think that's pretty cool.
That's awesome. He loves his kids. I love that. My favorite feature when they were younger was the crates that I put them in every night.
Yeah. The corral. Yeah, we have some of that stuff.
That's awesome. All right. Number 2, we are customer service
freaks.
Hit me. Let's go. So when you're out there and getting customer serviced and you're being serviced in wherever you're at doing things, what's the customer service pet peeve of yours?
So I strongly dislike when somebody tells me what I want when I know what I want. So if meaning if I'm the customer and somebody's trying to give me customer service and they're telling me what I want, and that's not what I want, that's like strongly irritating.
Like they're going for the assumptive close on you with the head bob, that kind of thing.
Or even you tell them you want it and they try to tell you something different. That's the kind of stuff that, like, because they're trying to push something or something like that. That's enough for me to just never come back.
That's what selling with an agenda. Yeah, I'm trying to get rid of this stuff because it's expired. I'm trying to get rid of this because this is last year's model. Trying to push people into that. You're right. That is so irritating, and that just doesn't play, I think, anymore. It would have worked in the '80s, but with the internet now, with all the availability out there,
I mean, I think
absolutely unselling it.
And I think as a customer, like, I know what I want. I mean, at least I'm usually that customer where I might research it ahead of time, and I think a lot of people do today. I'm still open if it's presented in the right way, but when somebody's telling me this is what you want, I'm like, nah, that's not what I want. I think I'm going to go to this vendor.
Nice. All right, number 3, give us a DIY nightmare or a DIY failure story. And we love fire and water
and explosions.
Oh, explosions do work out.
I don't. I think we did a remodel at our house, and for whatever reason, the builder guy just like wanted to be my best friend, and it was just really creepy. So he didn't like screw anything up, but like he would talk, if I wasn't there, he would ask my wife, like, hey, like, he literally said this. He said, well, like, I just feel like Seth doesn't like me, and I just want him to like me. What's going on? And I'm like, I guess just because maybe sometimes I'm business and I just go, and maybe I didn't like spend enough time talking to him, but it just got kind of weird. So they did great work. I'm really happy with their work, but like, I didn't want to be your friend and like to like talk and, like, kumbaya at the end of the day. I don't know. That was just weird for me. So
that's funny. He needed some affirmation from you, Seth.
Yeah, he needed self-affirmation.
Yeah, it was very uncomfortable. I'm still, you can even see right now, I'm a little uncomfortable talking about it.
Yeah,
you gotta give him a hug.
I'm uptight now. I just don't know. It was a big disaster. Great quality work, but I just don't know if I could hire the contractor again because he's just trying to be a little, I don't know.
I love that. So he hangs the door. You should have came out and go, how does that make you feel? I really appreciate you. You complete me. No, that doesn't work. That's freaking weird, man. We didn't do that in contract.
I don't even get, it's not even that was probably one of my like more stressful like life experiences. Like,
wow. Oh my God. You can tell too. I'm sorry to bring that up. I've really ripped open a wound there.
All right. How did that make you feel?
And so Seth, how did that make you feel? Seth, buddy, I've enjoyed talking with you again. Love all the stuff you're doing. Again, why don't you go ahead and just tell everybody how they get a hold of you. We're going to wrap this sucker up and let's go make it happen.
Yeah, bluecollarbusinesscoach.net. I would love if you go on there and check how much hidden costs you have in your business. That's a starting point. You'll be surprised. Reach out. You can connect with me there at Seth at bluecollarbusinesscoach.net. Thanks for having me. This was great. I enjoyed it.
This is awesome. Thanks again. Everybody, keep making it a great day. Hopefully you got something out of today. Maybe you got something. Maybe you didn't get anything. And if you didn't get anything, then stop listening. But no, don't stop listening. Please keep listening. Follow, rate, review, because I still need it. I need affirmation.
You need to think about things before you say them, Chris.
Please tell me how much you like me. All right, everybody, go make it a great day. We're out of here.